Happy Thursday. Kat is in the corner. She keeps saying it's almost Friday. It's almost Friday, and it is. We've got football tonight, baby. We've got Bucs Falcons in Atlanta. Huge matchup. Baker Mayfield's so hot right now, and I love that he's going to get the shine of prime time. We get the shine of a shining star here, an absolute superstar leading the NFL in sacks. Aiden Hutchinson of the Lions joining us. Is he coming for that Strahan record this year? Are we talking ballet, releves, and plies with him? Absolutely. And former Falcons GM Thomas Dimitroff. Listen, Davante, where's he going? Is he staying? What's realistic? Which team should be ruled out? We're going to get into the mind of the former GM. Maybe we'll talk a little Belichick, the future, hop around the league. It's all happening right now. Huge, huge show. All right, let's do it. It is Thursday night football. Go have fun on FanDuel Sportsbook. There is a PBT, I believe, as we welcome in Matthew Hamilton that you can use on Thursday night games. Also, FanDuel is letting us, dabble a little bit. What's going on? I made an appeal, as I always do, and I say, FanDuel, how can we, cook up people, right? My Thursday night parlays weren't hitting. We got some great props we're going to go over that I did with Gronk. But they're we're negotiating with them on one game to do a very special Up and Adams profit boost token. We're literally negotiating no, I want 40%. We want 20. We're trying to make it happen for the good people. Where are we in that process?
We're getting close to making something happen. It's for one particular game that we're targeting right now. And there is going to be a very special partner on this one, too.
I'm so excited. We don't have it announced yet. We don't have all our stuff together, but we are minding our P's and Q's and getting it done. We've got a lot to get to. We've got Jets, Vikings, wink, wink, in London. Vikings 2.5-point favorites. I love that. They're getting the Aaron Rodgers treatment. What happens to Garrett Wilson in this game with all the rumors, although Garrett Wilson told our show back in summer that he'd be great with Davante Adams joining that team. So if that happens, who knows what happens here. Adams dealing with the hammy. He probably won't go. Ruled out yesterday afternoon for this Broncos matchup that they have between the Raiders and the Broncos. Big primetime matchups, by the way. Cowboys, Steelers, Sunday night. Hammy, I like this Saints and Chiefs one. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, there's a lot of injuries going on there. Obviously, we know about the Chiefs stuff. The Saints have some offensive line stuff going on. Is Taysom Hill going to play? When he went out in that Falcons game, that kind of threw a wrench in everything they were trying to do. But this is one I look at. If the Saints are healthy, they get the extra day to rest. I have the Chiefs on a little upset alert.
Really?
In that one.
All right, I love it.
Yeah.
Just finally, I like the one Monday night game. Back to some reasonable societal expectations for me.
Yeah, it's hard to watch two of those Monday night. I like the one Monday night game. And speaking of the Vikings-Jets, I like there was a quote from Sam Darnold this morning. He's downplaying the whole Jets thing. They're trying to get him to say that the Jets hurt his development. He's like, no, I had plenty of opportunities. It wasn't the Jets.
I like how he came out and he said, no, I had a lot, and and he's crushing it right now. Confidence is at an all-time high thanks to his coach, thanks to the own work that he's done, and we love that. Saints at Chiefs is like the Davante Adams Bowl potentially. Who needs him more? Which, he's kicking back with that sore hammy, and he's looking at his chops at where to go. Or he stays in Vegas. Raiders fans hating us right now. We are not the friends of the Raiders. People are saying Raiders better not go on her show. There's all this going on. Raiders, we love you. We love what's going on. And I love that Max Crosby, actually, what a leader, right? Vocal leader, whatever. He's out on Twitter and he goes, adversity, tough times, that's when we shine, baby. Let's go to work. And so I'm paraphrasing, it's not what he really wrote, but there were some good emojis in there. Max Crosby is the absolute best. Let's get into what's happening tonight to kick it all off. Week 5, NFC South battle. We love a divisional situation. I love a wobbly, short week. It's probably going to come down to the wire. Hopefully, I'd like some close games in the NFL. The Bucs have an opportunity tonight to sort of say, we're leaving you in the rear view. You're back there and you're coughing up dust that I'm kicking up from the back of my Nikes.
That noise coming off her.
Oh, sorry. I hear you, Hammy. Sorry. Here's Baker. Here he is. You can hear Hammy and Baker on Tampa's hot start and how it's a little bit different than last year.
Think back at last year, we were 3-1 at this point, too. Now, I wouldn't say that we operated as clean and we knew our identity, but right now, don't take anything for granted. Just because you start 3-1, like you said, it's a long year. Got to continue to improve and just build as the year goes on.
I love that Baker clearly feels that they're even further ahead than they were a year ago, even when you do have changes, like let's not forget a big question going into the season was, how will Baker be if you remove what is somewhat a quarterback whisperer in Dave Canales, like a guy who's gotten the best out of all of his quarterbacks, Liam Cohen? We were doing some thinking. I found myself getting kind of annoyed. All the Baker-Brady sort of stuff that made the headlines and was taken out of context is sort of taken away from what Baker's doing this year. I saw Dan Orlovsky giving him love on Get Up this morning, and I love to see it, saying he's having a tremendous year. He's up there with the Sam Darnolds. And let's not forget, this offseason, people were questioning whether or not the Bucs should pay for him, that they should bring him in and make him their guy, asking if last year was some sort of a one-hit wonder or if it all had to do with Dave Canales. And I think he is already saying, shut up. That's all completely unfounded. And I love that he continues to go under the radar, which is just where I like him. He's got the best completion percentage, passer rating, and touchdown to interception ratio of his entire career right now. His passer rating's 4th highest in the league right now. Baker Mayfield is on fire. He's got the dad vibes going. He's being really helpful, really integrating himself in that community down there. That community is going through a lot right now. Like, this is awesome. And by the way, this is kind of wild. Look at this. Despite the 3-1 start, no one is really viewing this Bucs team as a contender in the NFC. Plus 1,700 is disrespectful. Plus 1,700 to win the conference right now. 9th longest odds of the 16 teams in the conference. And even though they beat the teams that are 2nd and 3rd on this list and won a playoff game last year, they're somehow not being viewed or still being viewed as a non-threat. I don't know if a win tonight, bright lights, Amazon treatment, does that change things? I don't know, but it would certainly make a statement against the Falcons, who are somehow still favored to take the division as of this morning on FanDuel Sportsbook. Wake up, FanDuel Sportsbook. I don't love those odds, or I do love them if I want to look smart. Like, what are we doing here? By the way, Gronk and I, for this game, we didn't do a parlay, but you can make a parlay, pick and choose here. Do what you want. We had a little prop off, if you will, proper prop off. He's got the under on Mike Evans receiving yards, Kirk Cousins passing touchdowns. A little negative Nancy on that. That's okay. And he has the Chris Godwin anytime touchdown score situation. I took the over. I think Bish goes over that with rushing yards. Look at that. What is it? 460, 4.5? Come on. Baker passing yards at 236.5. Bang the over. And I double down with Bish for an anytime touchdown. Let's see if I can go 3 for 3 again this week. Matt Ryan, Hammy. So I'm playing the guitar in some clip that they were putting out yesterday. Thomas Dimitroff will tell us a lot about Matt Ryan ahead of this matchup. Longtime GM of those Falcons when he was in charge. Season MVP, went to the Super Bowl. Lots of great moments. Had so much fun with him when we were in Atlanta with FanDuel. Part of our FanDuel family, and it's his night there in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's going to be a special night for sure. And it's cool to have Dimitroff. Dimitroff drafted him. So really cool to get some insight on him, maybe hear some stories about their time together. That'll be fun, but awesome night. Glad that they are taking the time out to honor everything that Matt Ryan did there.
I wonder if it brings a spark. Like, I wonder what that implication is. And Matt Ryan's, by the way, crushing it on CBS with our old friend Nate Burleson, and we sort of got glimpses of that with his work with FanDuel, which has been really cool to see. And speaking of FanDuel, get on. Why are you even here? Don't watch our show. Go to the FanDuel Sportsbook. Do both. Do whatever. 30% profit boost token on those props that we just showed you, or any other 500 plus props that Hamilton sifts through with one of those things that you put flour through when you're making cake. Like, he's just going through and picking out the right ones. And the only stipulation, the asterisk, is they have to have odds that are minus 200 or longer, 30%. And don't blame us for anything. It's all on you. You can use it on anything Thursday night football. Okay, yesterday we had so much fun. And by the way, while I have you here, I know we have a big show. Thomas Dimitroff. We have Aiden Hutchinson. Hammer Time is coming up. You're going to make me smarter. I don't even know about what. We should mention, this is blaring news, tomorrow's show, Kevin Durant is back on the program. Kevin Durant, who just sashayed himself into the NFL landscape, telling me he's going to pick the Commanders every week, and voila, they might be coming out of the NFC.
Yeah, they're red hot. And can we tease the other guest?
We have a big guest on tomorrow. We have a guest who I believe matches. I don't know if that's just. I don't even know. I don't know the levels. Matches the panache, the pedigree of Kevin Durant, MVP level guest. Both played in the SEC. Do you have another hint you'd like to give?
A lot of MVPs.
Both two-time champions, I'm told. Zach's telling me in my ear, two-time champions. Who do you think it is? Who do you think is joining the show? This is like, anybody ever watched Veep and Julia Louis-Dreyfus walks into the office and their assistant Sue is, and she's like, hey, did the president call? And Sue goes, no, because she just keeps wanting the president to call and you never return. That's this guess where I'm like, oh, hey Bookers, hey MH, hey John, have we made any progress with blank guest? And they're like, I haven't heard back. He's coming on the show tomorrow. Can't wait. Who do you think it is? While we are here, I'm going to say Scram Ham. We appreciate you. Great job as always, and good luck to your team on Saturday. He coaches high school football. It's a whole thing. We didn't get to this yesterday. We had all the Davante Adams stuff going on. And by the way, people are asking me where I think Davante Adams is going. Hammy, you can come back for this. Sorry, Zach, I'm really crushing you right now. I do want to say, and people keep, if anybody's watched the program or like, we know where, like, there's only one Disney movie of this, right? Like, I guess there could be several, and there could be several. But like, if the NFL is the storybook that I need it to be and that I want it to be, like, we know where we're going. We know where Davante Adams is going, right? And hopefully he's on my show next week. We've not heard. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm assuming, and obviously the team you're referring to, obviously the Jets there. That's the natural doubt. That would be the storybook ending, him reuniting with Rodgers. But there is that element, too, of how much control does he have here? The Raiders, the Raiders can send him wherever they want to send him. It's a matter of, every team's different how they want to deal with this stuff. We saw, obviously, like the Chiefs gave Tyreek an option and let him pick Miami. Yeah. We'll see how much say the Raiders give him here, but I think it's pretty clear from, what we've heard from all the reports that we're seeing out there right now, too, that the Jets are the number one choice right now.
Well said. Do you think that's where he's going? Or what makes the most sense?
I do, yeah. I think, if all he said to us is he wants to win a Super Bowl. I think of the teams that are realistic possibilities, if he reunites with Rodgers there, that's with that defense, the way they're playing, he's going to have a great chance.
A lot of people think the Jets aren't in a better situation than the Raiders. That's what I keep seeing on my timeline. And I'm like, I think
you have Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. All right, thanks, Hammy. We didn't get to this yesterday. I wanted to hit it this morning. We're doing like a bonus underreaction. Usually that's a Wednesday thing. The Davante Adams thing sort of takes that off the rails. So let's talk about Lamar Jackson. We are underreacting. I just want to get this out into the world. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, they are exactly as advertised. Things come across his desk on paper all off-season long. We do a show in the off-season. We're spinning our wheels. We're tap dancing for you, trying to make content. And then, they don't pan out. This is already panning out in epic fashion. I'm not being over-exaggerative right now, okay? Both guys are on pace to have career years. Can you imagine what a career year is for these two who are already on a gold jacket trajectory? Let's start with Lamar Jackson here. He's having a better season than he did in 2023 when he took home that MVP. Take a look at this. His stats last year versus his pace in 2024, passing numbers almost identical. Look at the rushing. Lamar on pace to have 500 more rushing yards than he did a year ago. He's averaging 2 more yards a carry. Those rushing numbers would eclipse what he did in 2019. That's when he won his other MVP. That's crazy. Okay? 7.5 yards per rush would be the highest average in the entire Super Bowl era among players with 10 or more attempts per game. The numbers are insane. They're sickening. They should be scary for everybody. And then there's Derrick Henry, okay? Let's take a look at how he's doing and sort of stack up his 2,000-yard season in 2020. Huh? He's averaging a career-high 6 yards per carry right now, on track to hit 2K, which I told you players would be hitting that 2K mark this year. He'd be the first player in NFL history to do it twice if he got there. That's insane. He's also on pace to rack up 9 more touchdowns than he did during that season, too. 26 would tie him for the 4th most in a single season with Marshall Faulk, who did it back in 2000. So, did I say Falk instead of Falk? I don't know what's going on. And this is especially scary when you consider that both of these guys got off to slow starts to start the year, okay? Coach Lou, what are we doing? How are we doing this? Is that Game of Thrones, 3D map that Daenerys and Jon Snow had in that cave thing? Is that happening? Do you have that on your docket? Is that what you're laser focused on? They're the 25th ranked run defense. How do you figure this out in a hurry in trying to contain this on Sunday? This is why, and their defense, which we give tons of love to start the week, this is why this is the best team in football right now. Okay, up next. Do they face the Lions in the Super Bowl? Maybe. We've got sack leader Aiden Hutchinson of the Lions on the program. We'll talk a little ballet, we'll talk a little State Farm, and some NFL. Matthew, while I have you,
yes.
we're going to slate the bricks, but do you know how what happened yesterday at my house?
I do not.
So Kat decides to come over because we're putting in like studio equipment in one of my bedrooms so I can have it.
Your favorite, yeah.
My favorite. No, don't worry. Kat's like, I'm leaving, and I went in there, and it was like plugged into the wall, and I was like, not today. And I like took everything out. Kat's like, Jesus, because I think I'm getting spied on. Anyway, so I'm getting so that happens, and walk in two amazing guys who like took their time from FanDuel, and they show up at my house. But they're like two 8-year-olds. It was like two lost boys from Hook, showing up, and they're like, did you see that snake? They told there was a rattlesnake outside of my house, and these two were like yucking it up over it. And literally I have Seth texting me like, don't they understand like your mental health is going to be affected by this in the biggest way? Like what? Like I'm like, and then I truly almost went into like shock, and I about died.
I'm surprised you didn't plug everything back in right there and say you're doing the show from home the rest of the week and not leaving your house ever again.
The whole thing was I had 12 people in my house yesterday doing 8 different things. I was home for a chunk. And then like literally Kat's like, the plumber's here. This is there. I'm like, I'm sitting outside, and I wrapped everything up and went inside, never to return. I will never go outside again. Zach, what did you ask?
No.
Rattlesnake outside. Scorpion. I don't go in the pool. Scorpions can live in my pool. They can have little baby scorpions in my pool. Like I'm not afraid of. You hate scorpions. I'm not a scorpion. A rattlesnake outside of my house, and then I was texting Kat about it like into the night. No. Into the night, I go, did you guys move it? These amazing, I mean, they moved it. They grabbed it, they got rid of it. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And then I went outside, and my neighbor goes, oh, I saw a bobcat. It was so cute. I was like.
Well, the bobcats will take care of the snakes. There you go.
You think so? I know, I was like, would they fight each other and, you know, enter Morgan Freeman, voice of God, or Obama, who's doing some Netflix, National Geographic-y sort of thing? Like, yeah, I can't. I literally have the shakes from you. I mean, it's true. There's no bigger fear I have than a snake. None. Zero. I manifested it.
100%.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Welcome back to the Davante Adams Show. Aiden Hutchinson on the program, but hey, you up? ... I'm going to give you some sleepers this week for daily and fantasy leagues. At running back, give me the Tank Bigsby. That Tank would probably crush the rattlesnakes outside of my house in Los Angeles. He's also averaging 8.2 yards per carry this year. The volume's going up. We like that. He's facing a Colts defense. Colts defense, what are we doing? Stop the run. 31st against the run. At wide receiver, Romeo Doubs. Okay, I'm getting a lot of crap for this one because I said this is your wide receiver one. Was I misled? Maybe. But he's got, 15 targets in 2 games with Jordan Love. Okay, Rams defense giving up top 10 points, I think top 6 to receivers. So I think this is a Romeo Doubs day as far as sleepers are concerned. And Juwan Johnson. Let's give you a tight end. Chiefs have allowed the most yards to tight ends this year. Saints throw more in this one. We get back to good, and Juwan will make, hopefully, some big plays. So Juwan Johnson, Romeo Doubs, and Tank Bigsby against the Colts. There's some sleepers. You're welcome. I give those to you because I love you. I also love the Lions. I feel like we don't talk about the Lions enough. We just expect them now to be great. The hype is over. They're just executing. We had Kirby Joseph on our show, and he caught a beautiful interception last week, and he was so much fun that we decided let's bring in a big fish here. Let's bring in the NFL sack leader, Pro Bowl defensive end for the Lions, Aiden Hutchinson. We talked about whether this year feels different than last year, expectation versus hype, ballet moves. He's gotten into that upper echelon of NFL players where he is a sterling shining face in the State Farm ads. That's very special and hallowed in the NFL. And he also has his eyes on a record.
Aiden, I know you can sack quarterbacks. I know you can sing, Mr. Billie Jean, but ballet dancing, I know you have a dancer background, but Boondley Save, I did not see coming.
Yeah, I wasn't really either. Because I really didn't have the ballet background, but hey, I learned how to do a couple of spin moves growing up, doing hip hop. So I could still pull it off. But no, I think the collab I had with State Farm was it was amazing. And they're all about putting a spotlight on unexpected bundling like home and auto. And with me, how I do it, I bundle dance and football, and that may look like doing a spin move, getting a sack, and dancing my way off the field. So, yeah.
What was the pitch when they call you and they're like, join the Zoom meeting, like it's State Farm? By the way, like that's iconic now. If you're in a State Farm commercial, that's where you want to be. You are officially at the peak and the top of superstardom in the NFL. When you're hearing the pitch, did it make sense to you? Were you like, okay, sure, ballet?
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, right when Ryan, my marketing agent, presented it to me, it was like it was like a State Farm commercial. Got to do it, and then the second part, we're like, and they want to do it something around dancing or ballet. I'm like, oh God, what is this about to do? But I mean, right from the minute I saw that opportunity, I jumped at it, and it was they have such a great crew there too. So it was all very smooth and a great process.
Aiden, I totally don't believe you. I think you were like dancing. Great. I think I don't believe you. If there was a player that I would be able to say with 100% certainty will be on and win Dancing with the Stars, it's you.
I appreciate that, because that is what I'm doing the second that my career is done.
Really?
So yep, I'm all there. So we'll see maybe in 20 years if your prediction is right.
I love that. But for now, you're just saving and bundling and doing your thing with State Farm, which we love. What's been more beneficial to your career, Aiden? Your dance background, which is legit, and you have that, or Jim Harbaugh?
That's a tough one.
Ooh.
I mean,
Sorry, Jim.
I think no, I'm kidding. I mean, dance, it was fun, and it gave me some flexibility, gave me the spin moves and stuff. But Jim, he's awesome, and he gave me a great opportunity at Michigan to play, and I love playing under him. So we'll give it to Jim.
It's very cool that we have State Farm's NFL sack leader here on the show, which is amazing. Following this Monday Night Football game, was it as fun to play in as it was to watch? This was an insane game, Aiden.
It was crazy. I mean, yeah, it was back and forth. For some reason, whenever we play Seattle, it always happens. It's like this shootout, So it was a tiring game. It was fun though, and just having a chance to play, in the spotlight on Monday Night Football at home is always the best.
You found the Seahawks their first loss of the season. Jared Goff, unstoppable. Everyone's talking about it. Perfect. 18 for 18. He catches a touchdown. That was amazing. What does the man have to do to get a game ball? How do we bundle something up with State Farm to get him the game ball from Campbell?
For real. Well, I didn't even know that he had that perfect or no incompletions or anything.
What do you mean?
So
How did nobody know?
I don't know if anybody really knew, So, but I think, he got his flowers this morning. Dan was shouting him out in the meeting. So, I think he's had a lot of game balls in his life. Some other guys got the game balls in this game.
It's so funny because you guys talk about him as if he's like highly touted all the time. He's not. And I always see him at the microphone and he's talking in press conference about you guys. And some guy just last week was saying, you don't really have superstars on your team. And he's like, I don't know. We have he went crazy. I think we have to give Goff more love. No? For
sure. I mean, as a teammate who, we got to keep our boys humble. He gets a standing ovation every time he walks into our stadium.
Wow.
They do the Jared Goff. So I think he's doing all right. I think he's all right.
Okay. He's never been in a State Farm commercial, so I don't know. He's got goals. He's got things.
That's funny.
Before halftime, you slid to your knees on the sidelines. Refs made you come off the field for a play. Were you trying something sneaky, Aiden, like you pulled last year against the Bears?
Of course. Yeah. It's, I honestly, I didn't know that was a thing, that if you went on a knee, you're immediately injured. So I was just trying to stay low and kind of duck and, just in case Gino didn't see me, just trying to, it's year 3 now. I'm leveling up and I'm advancing in my techniques, and so I'm trying to find any edge I can. And unfortunately, that edge was not there.
You're saying you're in year 3, you're finding the edge. You clearly have. You have 6.5 sacks. You lead the league. You're on pace for over 27. You've talked about breaking the record. Does it feel like, do you think about it every day?
No. I think obviously it's a goal I have coming into every year, but this season's so long, you can't get too wrapped up, because some games you might not have a sack, some games you might have 3 or 4, so it's just like, you just got to keep playing it week by week. And that's always been my mentality, and that will continue to be my mentality.
I mean, your coach thinks you can take it up another notch. I think those were exactly his words on what he's expecting and what he thinks you can do this year. I'm so curious, even just from last year to this year, does it feel different? Does it feel like is there a different, more settled energy, more a we belong energy? What's the difference between right now and this time last year?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It's definitely settling. It's just with the D-line that we have now, and just this another year in the scheme, I feel like guys are coming along, and I've evolved as a player a ton. And so I think it's just the culmination of all those things just leads you to have more confidence, and then things slow down when you're on the field. And really, all in all, it really raises my own gameplay to a new level when you have better people around you, and it's just, you have another year under your belt. So everything's going the right way.
And you're doing pliés and releves and,
And bondelés and saves.
Bondelés, saves, and acting skills, acting something that you're clearly a natural at, and State Farm picked up on that.
Yeah, that was great. I hope people like my little pirouette that I did to the ballet bar. So
who in that locker room is going to tease you the most about your State Farm stardom?
I could see Jared. Speaking of Jared, I could see Jared saying something.
That's just jealousy.
Call it what you want. I don't know. But I think Jared probably will. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's too incriminating. That
was great.
Yeah.
But it'll be on TV all day long. So that's why I was thinking they'll point up and you'll be everywhere. I mean, that State Farm thing is a real thing in the NFL. And that's what you'll be doing, I'm sure, on your bye week. Do we like the bye week right now?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is, but we're in it. And, it's just, after this, we got 13 more games, and that's how we see it. No break.
Amazing. You can bundle with the State Farm personal price plan. Everybody enjoy the bye week, Aiden, and we will see you on the other side and probably at the Super Bowl. See you in New Orleans.
Thanks, Kay. Appreciate it.
Aiden, appreciate you. We've talked about it. The Lions have the early bye this week. Things start to heat up for their next 5 on the road. Out of the bye at Dallas. Oof. Undefeated Vikings. Oof. They'll be coming off their London trip, a trip to Lambeau. Wow, that'll be fun. And then at Houston against one of the AFC's top contenders. Tough stretch. About as tough as anyone faces this year. Can't wait to see it, but if any team's built to handle it, it's these Dan Campbell Lions. We have the Falcons tonight. They are hosting the Bucs in a red-hot Baker Mayfield. We have former GM for those Falcons, Thomas Dimitroff. We're not just going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Davante Adams. We're going to talk about teams that aren't involved. I want you to scratch the teams that are off of the list, that are bothering you, that are floating out there after this. We got Thomas on the program. Yes, please, do whatever's helpful for you. Cool. Back on Up and Adams, my guest right now, former GM of the Atlanta Falcons, two-time NFL Executive of the Year, President of Football Operations at Sumer Sports, and co-host of the Sumer Sports Show, Thomas Dimitroff. Great to see you as always.
Hey, always great. Thanks for having me.
It's a perfect day to have you. I'm glad this worked out. I want you because we got action in Atlanta to kick off Week 5. Matt Ryan getting inducted into the Falcons Hall of Fame. He was your first pick as the Falcons GM back in 2008. You know him so well. An emotional night, I'm sure.
Emotional night. I mean, we were at a function the other day, and the way that he was carrying himself, I mean, that guy is just oozing with confidence, not only as a player, as you know, even in the studio now. But anyway, he's so deserving of everything. I can't wait to see him come out on the field and receive that accolade. Obviously, it's a big thing. And as you saw, Arthur Blank was inducted last week, so it's a good back-to-back week.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. And I got to hang out with Matt Ryan a couple of weeks ago, and I was not surprised, but he was swearing. He was talking about his wife sending him texts with expletives and stuff. And it's, we see this one Boy Scoutish Matt Ryan. I'd like you to tell me, give me like a Matt Ryan story we haven't told before.
No, look, I mean, Matt is highly competitive. He doesn't call himself a Philly guy, but I think he is a Philly guy. He's right in that area, of course. But he's always been incredibly competitive, and he is. Nice smile, always nice, very good in the community. Great guy, represents very well. But he is an F-bomb guy, and I don't say that, Matt. Please forgive me for saying that. That's just part of his exclamation points, right? It's not he's not calling people names. He's just a fiery dude. And, again, you see it. You see it on the field early on when he first got to Atlanta. He was navigating properly, but when the competitiveness came out, it didn't matter if he was talking to Roddy White or Michael Jenkins or Tony Gonzalez. I mean, he would get after them, which I always thought was a great trait for him as he grew to be the quarterback that he was. And to me, he is a Hall of Fame talent to be. I don't throw that around that often because I don't want to insult the people in the Hall of Fame thinking that it's an easy move, but he is definitely worthy of Hall of Fame status for sure.
Hall of Fame's next, Ring of Honor tonight. They're in Atlanta with these Buccaneers. There were huge expectations, like on paper, everything going on for this offense, and outside of the 2-minute drill, they've been inconsistent moving the ball. What is that, and how do we get this new look offense to click?
We first start off with Kirk Cousins, right? I mean, the way that Kirk Cousins moves the ball around, how he has in the past, he is what they were looking for, and it's why they brought him in. And I know that it was a polarizing decision as far as two quarterbacks being brought in this year. Obviously, he's still healing. They need to get the ball down the field more, and that's complicated sometimes when you're coming off of an injury, especially when you're talking about an injury that he had, right, Kay? They have a lot of talent on that football team. Terry Fontenot has done a very nice job, along with Raheem Morris, putting the final touches on that roster. And I think they can utilize it. I mean, their run game, I think they have one of the very best running backs in the game in Bijan Robinson. Algier runs his butt off as well. I love seeing that. They can move the ball around more. I think that's where they're lacking a little bit. And you could see in the first 3 games, they were down. They were significantly low on the charts, right? I mean, they're where their numbers are in their stats, where we're down in the 20s and beyond in a lot of different categories. They pulled it up in this past game. I think Kirk is getting more and more comfortable moving around. I think they know that they have to get the ball to their explosive people, which is important. Everyone wants to see if Kyle Pitts get that ball, right, Kay? And I don't know where you stand on that. Great acquisition as far as just an unbelievable athlete.
Oh, yeah.
He's not being used there. Why is that? And that's something that they have to figure out.
Hopefully they'll work it out tonight against those Buccaneers. I'm looking at the odds here. Falcons favored by 1.5 points. I'm happy to have you here because there's a lot going on with Davante Adams, sort of all anyone's talking about, which is great for him because it shows you what a great talent he is. And then there's these injuries plaguing some contending teams, and there's teams reportedly making calls. Let's take a look, if we can control and pop up the potential suitors that we are hearing about, rumored about. You've got the Jets, the Cowboys, Steelers, Packers, Commanders, Chiefs, Saints, Bills. There's a world where he stays in Vegas with these Raiders. Which team, in your opinion, let's start here, which is the best fit?
Well, I mean, obviously everyone wants to think that the Jets would be the best fit given, sort of a reuniting of a whole bunch of really talented people along with the quarterback. I think he's mentioned that he really wants to be around potential quarterbacks that he's been with before. Does that mean the Saints as well? Saints situation monetarily might be a little bit more challenging. The Bills as well would be challenging because, they're pretty maxed out. When I start looking at it, I think, wow, I would love to see him at Pittsburgh, to be honest with you.
Wow.
That's my thought. I'm not saying that would ever happen. When I start looking at that and I start thinking about making sure that they have their game continues to develop on the offensive side with a quarterback that know that they're continuing to develop at Pittsburgh, I think that's really important. I keep coming back to, well, why isn't this hometown team looking at him? I mean, do the Falcons truly have a number 2? And, is this something that they would consider doing? Not sure that they would. If they keep bolstering this offense, of course, in Atlanta, I think they can be really, really special down the road, not only with Kirk Cousins, but in the future with Michael Penix. That said, all of that said, I would love to see him reunite with Aaron Rodgers, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, you said all that to say, you got me excited about the Atlanta because Terry has that in him. I think Terry does have that. Yes. Bravado that it would take to pull a haul like this. I have a couple questions here. When I asked you that question, he said he wants to reunite with it's true. He likes the quarterbacks. He's got the Derek Carr thing. He's got the Aaron Rodgers thing. I think the first question from fans is, who cares what he thinks? Like, if he wants to, why does he have a say in where he gets traded? You tell me, as a GM, as an executive of the year, you know this, a star, a bona fide, and he is that, 31 years old, 6-time Pro Bowl, 3-time All-Pro, looking for a ring, maybe disgruntled, maybe not disgruntled. I don't know what's happening, but how much say does Davante have? Why are we worried or trying to make the cute connections to Derek and stuff? How much is it really his choice?
It's not his choice, I don't think. I think in the end, it's not his choice. I think the teams are going to be discussing at a lot of different levels. It's the trade comparison, quite honestly, it's like the Stephon Diggs trade, Kay, where that's what was that? It was a second round pick, and then a couple other picks, a 5th and a 6th round over the next couple years. That may be the comparative. That's the comparative that we are producing in our own internal metrics here at Sumer Sports. It's one of the trades that we think aren't over the top. It's still, when you're trading a second rounder, that's complicated for teams that are looking to build, of course. I think the number is $13.5 million right now that would still be owed. I think that the Raiders, if they need to do this and it's something they want to do, I think they're going to have to be creative and give back some of that money to the teams that are potentially thinking about acquiring Davante.
Well, that's my first question. So he doesn't really have a say. I like the comp to Stephon Diggs. That seems to work out well. And then there's also this notion out there, that their teams don't have money. So out of the ones that I showed, it's which team can you rule out automatically? Or there's this theory where if it's a guy like Davante Adams, you're finding a way to, I always joke, move the decimal points, hide some money under the mattress, make it happen. Which one is true, sort of, with the cap hit? I mean, it's some of these teams on this list are cap strapped. His cap number is over $25 million this year. How big of a hurdle is that? Or is that BS and teams absolutely, all of them could find a way to make this work?
Well, I think people can get creative, and Kay, you're very aware of restructuring. Mm-hmm. That was always a big tool for us when I was in the league. It continues to be, right? And restructuring, it sometimes comes across to the public and the fan base that, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? This is crazy. And it's cap accounting, and it's something that you can be creative with. Some you can't, of course. Some teams you can't be. But I think that's what they're going to have to do. And I think being creative in a financial situation, back to what I was just saying, I don't know, would the Raiders decide on, paying half of that 13.5 that they still owe? Is that the number that teams would be looking for? Is it truly 50%? Maybe.
And that's what you're doing over there at Sumer Sports. What is that? What is Sumer Sports sort of telling you about the value of Davante Adams?
Still very high. I mean, both we at Sumer Sports, I've talked to you before about this combination of subjective and objective, right? We have over 500 years of scouting experience in this company right now with 5 former general managers and a number of scouts and personnel directors. We take the subjective scouting that is still very, very positive and high on him, even though he's going to be, 32 in December. I mean, he's still going to want a big contract coming out of this. It's going to be a creative move, whoever does bring him on. But back to the subjective and objective, the objective side of it is saying he's still truly productive and worthy of a legitimate contract. It's just a matter of where teams would go and how far they would pay.
That makes sense. And you also have to look at things. I mean, he's just a durable player. I know he's dealing with a hamstring right now. He was on our show on Tuesday talking about how it's not as aggressive as it was back in 22 when he missed a couple of games. This is a player who does not miss games, and he's always out there. And I think you have to consider all the things as you value them at Sumer Sports and as these GMs are doing, making these calls and trying to figure it out. I want to ask you about the Eagles, okay? Because I look at the Eagles, and I'm just, when I heard you were coming on, I was thinking, like, where's an interesting GM thing? And I hadn't thought about Howie in a long time. And when it comes to acquiring talent, he does it really, really well. He brings in Saquon Barkley. It's splashy. It's, plucking from a division rival. We're all seeing the Mara things. Like, that's a win for Howie, it's not just a bad thing for the Giants. It's like, we got him from you. He's created this roster on paper, and then they're out here losing games, big games, little games. 8 of their last 11 losses. What, if you're Howie, like, what are you thinking? What is your level of involvement? Is there anything you can do? Or is it just, I put this together and now please do something with it?
Well, I think you start by saying, first of all, I mean, Howie is one of the premier general managers in sport, right? The way that he acquires talent, brings the right people around him to help make a lot of good decisions, right? He's got some great football people around him. Dave Caldwell's there, former general manager of the Jaguars. Matt Russell, one of the best personnel men in the league. He's got a great group around him. So he's going to seek counsel from those people. That's what we would do in those situations, and I'm sure he's doing. He does listen to his people. He also has a very firm understanding of what his coaching staff is doing as well, right? So he's got to think about next moves, and that's something that's on his mind. I start looking at this, Kay, interestingly enough, it's 2 years ago now that they lost the Super Bowl, right? I believe 2 years. I went through that with Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
That hangover thing is I hate to talk about it, but it is something legit. You deal with it. And as a team, sometimes you deal with it well. Other times you're flailing around a little bit, maybe not as publicly as you think, but internally there's a lot going on there, right? A lot of discussions. How are we going to resurrect? How are we going to get out of this sort of situation where we're losing? And what does that mean? It doesn't mean acquisitions. I mean, they have a damn good team.
Yes.
They have a really good football team. Why are they coming up short? I mean, look, I still think they obviously won an important game, and they'll continue to win important games. I think Howie has to step back and look at how this organization is moving going forward. All those rumors last year with Coach Sirianni, that's a big deal that's been hanging over that organization's head over the last little while. And does it continue to fuel the fire? You're probably going to bring up Bill Belichick and where he ends up, but where does Bill end up? And is there ever a knock on the door in that situation? Not to throw those rumors around, of course, but.
What do you mean? That's a great rumor. What do you like? We were hearing that last year. Bill's not. The hangover thing is interesting because I think people moved on from the hangover long ago. Maybe we aren't accounting for what that is. But then you look at I don't know. I think I have forgotten how soon they were in the Super Bowl. But the empathy leaves fans and media and everyone, and instead is the expectation. But the truth is, like, they have a great freaking roster and a great team and a lot of talent, and organizationally, I can't think of a team better run culturally top to bottom. So where does it stop where there's issues? And I guess to me, it's with Howie, is it just does he have his feet on his desk and he's twiddling his thumbs? Or like what, where I land with it is, what can he do as the GM right now? What can he do?
Again, I don't think he doesn't have his feet up on his table. That's not how, he's either moving around or he's running the Rocky steps. I say that jokingly. He's got something going on all the time. And I think what he would be doing now is really honing in on what's going on. And remember, GMs aren't scheme people. We try to be mindful that we don't butt into the coach's world too much. But it is imperative that he understands what's happening on the offense and the defensive side. They were giving up some chunks of yards on the defensive side. That needs to be, that's It feels like it's coming into play now a little bit more, but that's something on his mind. I really just believe that he needs to continue to have his great deep conversations with the head coach and the coordinators without telling them what to do, more understanding what is going on so that he can continue to make decisions in the future. And some of those are decisions with personnel when time comes, when you start thinking about moving on from players or acquiring players. You need to know as a general manager what's going on with your scheme at an understandable level, right? It doesn't have to be an intricate level, okay, but it has to be enough to know what direction this team is going, not only this year, but in the year to come, because that is his responsibility to make sure he's on top of that. And he's got an owner there, quite honestly, that gives Howie a ton of power and leeway to make decisions. I love it. I think it's great for the organization.
I'm trying to see who the Eagles have this week. I knew this a minute ago, and now I forgot. I think they've got actually, I don't know. Bye week, and then they got the Browns on their side. That's why I didn't know. They're not on the slate for this week, which kicks off tonight between the Bucs and the Falcons in Atlanta. You mentioned Belichick. You started your career with him. You worked with him in New England 10 years of experience together. What's the lesson of kind of what happened with Belichick as far as where we are right now heading into week 5? What's the lesson?
You're talking about the lesson, him
not coaching, him maybe is it a good thing to I'm sure you've gotten a lot of perspective by taking yourself out of this thing that's so insane for a minute, and I'm sure there's benefit to that, like there isn't anything with perspective. But what's the lesson in the Bill thing? Is he now, is he networking more when he didn't have to before? Like it's a business after all.
I think Bill Belichick is handling this very, very well. He's interacting. He's away from the business a little bit, to your point. It is nonstop. To speak for people like Bill, such passion for this game. When I heard people saying, oh, no, Coach Belichick's going to be finished and he's not coming back, I'm thinking, this guy is football through and through. Mm-hmm. He is, I think I've told you this story before. We were in GM advisory committee meetings during those last 2 or 3 years when I was still in the league. And he would walk into those meetings. He wasn't even, he's a GM, de facto GM there, right? But he's the head coach. He would be in the head coaching meetings, and then he would roll in to the GM meetings with such authority, not arrogance, but authority. He would sit down and everyone would get really, quiet because of who Bill Belichick was. The respect for him at that level to be able to come in and listen to GMs. And sometimes there's pushback. The reason I lead in there is there is so much respect for this man in the league as far as a coach. The teams that bypassed on him last year for reasons that don't even need to be talked about, i.e. that, he's a strong person and he does deserve the full say in an organization. He really does. He needs to be, in my mind, I think it would be great for him to be with a general manager that would understand that is his makeup, because there's no one else that deserves that.
Is that you?
There's no one else that deserves that. You know what I'm saying? I think Bill Belichick, I said this before, Kay, I don't think there's a head coach out there that could possibly get you to the Super Bowl in the next 3 years quicker and more effectively than a coach like Bill Belichick. That's what I believe.
Would you ever work with him again?
I always would definitely welcome working with Bill Belichick, because again, what he brings to the table is you're always learning. If you're a person out there that wants to learn more and more, it's unbelievable where his knowledge. And he's got, contrary to what people are saying out there, where he's being surrounded by some of his cronies or whatever, some of those people that he has next to him are fantastic football people as well. My point on this whole thing is, I think Bill needs to be back in that seat next year, and it's going to be really interesting to see where he lands.
If not sooner, as there's some seats warming up around the league, I believe, and some impatient ownership. We're going to take a short break. I want you to stay with me, though, and everybody make sure to check out Sumer Sports. It's the Sumer Sports Show with Thomas Dimitroff. We'll be right back. Thomas, I got to ask you about Jaden, because I saw you we were sweating like snowmen, melting on that gravel. It was unbelievable. But it was so great to see you, and you're always so supportive of Dan. What are your, impressions? This Jaden, obviously very special. Everyone's picking him apart and giving him all the love. But Dan's getting the best out of him, and so is Cliff.
Oh, yeah. We're off right now, right? Or we're talking
No,
right now?
we're on YouTube. So yes, it is
We're
live
on
still.
YouTube.
Yes,
Okay, I was about ready to.
No, it'll be.
I was
on.
about ready to drop my F-bomb
No,
here.
and you can.
No, I was just thinking, I mean, I am so impressed with how he's come to the table with Dan as a coach and of course, Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
I love how they're working him, right? I mean, to me, this comes back to not only did they get a guy who has the stature of a quarterback that we ideally would want, we have rare athleticism, and then we have the ability to move the ball as a passer all around the field, short, but they're being smart about it.
Yeah.
He can air it out when he needs to. He is seemingly, Kay, has such a complete element to him. And I know, people are always going to be critical of how Cliff might run his offense,
right,
just because we hear that sometimes.
Of course.
I think the way that they are approaching Jaden and letting him grow every day, I think every game is vital to his development.
Why don't they go get Davante?
What's that?
Why don't they go get Davante?
It's another one that might maybe should consider that being. I'm tripping over myself only because I was thinking it would be amazing to see that. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
You get another legitimate receiver in there, and I think they can continue to do things and get creative underneath like they continue to do with him. And that's an interesting thought. I like it.
Had you not thought of that before, that means it's not happening because you know DQ so well. You spent 6 seasons with him.
Well, I think you bring things up like that, and I'm thinking, you know what? I honestly do think that is something to consider.
Ooh.
I think there's going to be, when you think about all of these teams out there, Kay, think about that. There are so many teams that could benefit from, a guy like Adams. It's just who can cut him up with the money, who's okay with the booty, exchanging the booty, like as far as the draft booty. And again, there's another part that we haven't even talked about.
Yeah, we have to wrap here in a minute. Last thought. Go ahead.
No, my last thought is on Davante, you have to think about how that's going to affect the locker room too, though, right?
Yes.
Meaning you bring in a guy this late, how does it truly affect the morale? Is it a positive? I think it's positive in a number of places. Like I said, Pittsburgh and the Jets, I think it would be very positive.
It's well said. Okay, president of football ops at Sumer Sports, co-host of the Sumer Sports Show, Thomas Dimitroff, soon to be joined to the hip with Belichick walking into some team somewhere. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay.
And we're back. It's time for Hammer Time. Let's do this, Hammy. Your amazing Jaden Daniels mania everywhere. #1 selling jersey. Jersey. Completion percentage. Amazing. He does not miss. What are you saying?
So, of course, like Thomas Dimitroff was just telling us, the talent level is unbelievable. The arm, the legs, the lightning quick release. But it's the mental stuff he's doing that you don't typically see from rookie quarterbacks that's really blown me away so far. Dan Quinn told us when we were there that Jaden has some veteran traits, and he wasn't kidding. Let's dig into the tape and run through some of these.
Woo-hoo!
So Jonathan Gannon, last Sunday against the Cardinals, he was throwing a lot of things at him. They're showing a too high shell here before the snap. They're disguising this coverage. They're going to roll to cover 3, as you can see here. But Jaden recognizes it immediately. He's not thrown off by it. He sees that corner open up his hips to the middle of the field. He knows he's going to have this deep out to Terry McLaurin. And he's going to get that ball out on time before that flat defender can buzz underneath it. You can see it here. There's a tight window there to the sideline, and he's going to throw an absolute laser. And you hear people talk about when they're evaluating quarterbacks, can he make all the throws? Can he make the big-time NFL throws? This is one of those throws they're talking about, that deep out on the sideline. That is beautiful. And then there's how quickly he gets through his progressions. 2nd and 15 here. You can see there, the first read is to the flat, then the stick, then the post. Watch how quickly he gets through this. He checks out Brian Robinson there in the flat, sees that Budda Baker isn't caught up in the traffic. That's not going to get him much on 2nd and 15. Moves off of that. Now to the stick. That's not going to get him much either. So he comes off of that. He's going to look for this post, but he also has some pressure coming in there. His eyes don't go down to the pressure like a lot of young quarterbacks. He stays scanning the field, finds Luke McCaffrey, sees that there's a single high safety there, so knows he has to flatten this ball out and bring him across, and puts it right on the money. And we're going to rock this back a little bit. Watch how he releases this. He's able to hop out of the way of the pressure, throw back across his body after that hop, and throw an absolute strike. This is high-level quarterbacking at every level, not just the talent, but the processing is just, you don't see this from rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, Nate Burleson used to have this joke that, if he saw a guy who was really big or really, and it would like, check his birth certificate. Like, this kid doesn't belong in this youthful. Like, that's what I feel when I'm watching him. I feel like there's no world where you're a rookie. Who was telling us about that his going through his reads was the most impressive part? Was it Sanchez or Kuechly?
Kuechly.
Kuechly
was talking
saying
about
that was the most impressive part. We should get that out on Twitter. Let's do that. And by the way, you didn't even show me his rushing ability. He's crushing it. 4 rushing touchdowns already this year, plus 135 to punch one in against the Browns this weekend. I love that. I know it's Myles Garrett and company, but athletic front 7. But no. And by the way, this team has all the confidence, and the Browns do not. So I would I like everything going on with Washington this week. Okay, we got a big show tomorrow. Kevin Durant back on the program. He's going to love. Oh, you're just sucking up to Kevin Durant. Okay, I see what you did there.
You got me.
We get it.